Metabolism is the sum total of all the chemical reactions taking place in the body of an organism. And all these chemical reactions are catalyzed by enzymes. Many of the reactions form a linear pathway, which means the product of one reaction is the substrate for the next reaction and so on. While some others form cyclic pathways. In this diagram you can see both linear pathways and cyclic pathways. Even though we are studying them one by one, actually they are not isolated from each other. All of them are integrated together to form the living organism. And you can see here very well, in some of the reactions larger molecules are broken down, while in the others smaller molecules are joined together to produce larger molecules. It is a highly complex network, just like the traffic works going on in a huge city. And always these chemical reactions involve energy changes. Some of the chemical compounds are entering into the body which are used for the reaction, while many other chemical compounds, we say the products or the byproducts, are going out of the body. The metabolic pathways may generally be classified into two, catabolism and anabolism, and both of them involve energy also. In catabolic process, larger molecules are broken down into smaller molecules along with the releasing of energy, mostly in the form of ATP. While in anabolic processes, small molecules are assembled into larger ones, mostly using energy. The sum total of catabolism and anabolism in a broad sense may be called metabolism. Here is an overview of catabolism. You can see proteins are broken down into amino acids, which are further broken down into pyruvate and acetyl coenzyme A and intermediate of citric acid cycle and also ammonia. Polysaccharides are digested into glucose or broken down into glucose. Then by glycolysis, they are being converted into pyruvate, acetyl-CoA, intermediates of citric acid cycle, carbon dioxide, etc. Triglycerides and are also broken down into fatty acids and glycerol. They also give rise to pyruvate, acetyl-CoA or some other byproducts, etc. And along with that one, nucleic acids are broken down. So catabolism consists of all the breaking down activity, and all the products ultimately enter into a process in which energy is released, or the products are used for the formation of other biomolecules which in turn make up the living body. In anabolism, the first process is that the raw materials are taken into the cell. Remember, we are talking about cellular activities. You can see here minerals are there, sugars are there, amino acids are there, nucleic acids and fatty acids are there. All these organic compounds are the production of products of catabolic activities. They are taken into the cell and they are first used for the synthesis of monomers. Thymine, adenine, guanine, etc. are the monomers of the nucleotides. Fatty acids, glycerols, etc. are the monomers of the lipids, and various amino acids are also produced. These in turn are then used for the synthesis of polymers. For example, polymers such as DNA and RNA, larger lipids and larger proteins. These polymers in turn are assembled together in various ratios and proportions and combinations to form the structural organization of the cell. For example, chromosomes are made, ribosomes are made, other organelles are made, cell walls and membranes etc. are made. This is the meaning of anabolism. What's the role of enzymes in metabolism? Each and every chemical reaction of the metabolic pathway are catalyzed by enzymes. And the important fact is that by regulating the enzymes, the metabolic pathways can be regulated. That means metabolism can be regulated. As I told you earlier, metabolic pathways are regulated by regulating the enzyme activity. How the enzyme activity is regulated? There are two major mechanisms. One, at the stage of production of the enzyme by the concerned genes. Gene expression involves transcription, translation, etc. By regulating gene expression, production of the enzyme can be regulated so that enzymes are produced only when they are needed and only where they are needed. And secondly, once the enzymes are produced, when they are acting in a pathway, this action can be regulated by using feedback inhibition, which means some of the end products can inhibit some of the initial enzymes of a pathway, the so-called allosteric inhibition, or better allosteric modulation. Catabolism and anabolism are related by means of energy changes and also by means of metabolites. Catabolism releases energy in the form of ATP, NADH, NADPH, FADH2, etc., which are used in anabolic activities. These anabolism in turn releases ADP, phosphate, NAD plus, NADP, FAD, etc., which are to be converted into energy-rich molecules by utilizing catabolism again. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, which means the adenine is there. You know that adenine is a nitrogenous base. It is combined with the 5-carbon sugar ribose. That means adenosine is formed. On carbon number 5 of this ribose sugar, you can see phosphates are attached one by one. How many phosphates are there? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 phosphates. That's why we call it adenosine triphosphate. Look at the ATP. The third phosphate is bonded to the second phosphate by means of a high energy phosphoanhydride bond. Also, the second phosphate is bonded to the first phosphate by means of another energy rich phosphoanhydride bond. Whenever ATP is used for running biochemical reactions, the last bond, that means the bond between the third phosphate and the second phosphate, is broken to release energy. And if that energy is not sufficient, then the bond between the second phosphate and the first phosphate also is broken to release energy, so that the different types of uphill reactions can be carried out. Many of the synthetic anabolic activities are actually highly endergonic, which means energetically they are uphill reactions. They do not take place by themselves or spontaneously. How do we understand? They have a positive standard free energy change values, delta G0 dash values. In this case, you see there is an endergonic reaction. Glucose combines with the phosphate to form glucose 6-phosphate. Standard free energy change is positive. That means the reaction cannot take place by itself. And in such cases, for the reaction to take place, it is combined with another reaction which has a negative value for delta G0 dash. That means standard free energy change. In this case, that reaction is hydrolysis of ATP. ATP plus water gives ADP and inorganic phosphate. You can see delta G0 dash standard free energy change is minus 30.5. Highly exergonic. So when these two reactions are combined together, the net reaction has a standard free energy change in the negative region. You see minus 16.7. That means the reaction can take place by itself. So this is a basic mechanism in biochemistry. Whenever a biochemical reaction is exergonic, which does not take place by itself or spontaneously, it is coupled with another reaction which is highly exergonic in nature. So that the net reaction, the overall reaction has a negative value for standard free energy change. That means the reaction can now take place. Remember, these reactions are possible as a part of either anabolic reactions or catabolic reactions or both. That depends upon the substrates involved and the product formed. Now we move on to the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. As you know, carbohydrates form most of the components in our diet. The major carbohydrate in our diet is starch and also glycogen from the animal sources. This starch or glycogen is digested because of the enzyme amylase. This amylase is present in saliva and also in pancreatic juice. That means digestion of carbohydrates may take place because of the salivary amylase in our buccal cavity and because of pancreatic amylase in the duodenum. In the stomach, digestion of carbohydrate does not take place. Actually, when we consume plant material, vegetable material, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Cellulose is a good example for a carbohydrate, but we don't have the enzyme to digest cellulose in our alimentary canal. Actually, they are not digested in our body. But in the body of ruminant animals, for example, cow, buffalo, etc., in their alimentary canal, cellulase is produced by some microorganisms, and this cellulase is responsible for the digestion of cellulose. So, ruminant animals are getting energy from cellulose, while we people are not getting energy from cellulose. What are the products of digestion of carbohydrates? As you see here, starch and glycogen are digested into maltose and then into glucose. And lactose, milk sugar lactose, is digested into galactose and glucose. While sucrose, the sugar which we are adding into a tea and coffee, is digested into fructose and glucose. The name of the enzymes is also mentioned here. That means glucose, galactose and fructose are the three major products of digestion of carbohydrates in our alimentary canal. Here is a longitudinal section of our small intestine. You can see here in the center there is the passage for the movement of the food material. And all around that passage you can see villi, which are infoldings into the lumen of the alimentary canal. This villi and the microvilli are increasing the surface area for absorption. And also you can see channels called valvulae convolutus, which are actually transporting the absorbed food materials. It is the same for whether say carbohydrates or proteins or lipids, etc. Here is the structural organization of a single villus. This villus, this finger-shaped projection, is projecting into the lumen of the alimentary canal. So you can imagine the digested food mixture all around this villus. And the products of carbohydrate digestion are entering into the blood vessel and not into the lacteal. Lacteal is for the transportation, absorption and transportation of lipid digestion. Absorption of glucose is by means of a sodium co-transport mechanism. What does it mean? On the membrane of the epithelial cell, there is the transport protein which will transport sodium ions. But sodium ions alone is not transported. Whenever a sodium ion is transported from the lumen of the alimentary canal into the epithelial cell, it also carries a glucose molecule. That's why we call it sodium co-transport. Inside the epithelial cell, the glucose is released while the sodium is pumped out in exchange for potassium ions. You can see from the figure that galactose also is transported the same way from the lumen of the alimentary canal by the epithelial cell of the villus. While fructose is actually transported by means of facilitated diffusion. You can see the green colored transporter for fructose and also blue colored sodium co-transporter for glucose and galactose. A small amount of glucose dissolved in water is also passing through the tight junction. We can say it is leaking through the tight junction. That also can be seen from the figure correctly.